All right, welcome to Money Never Sleeps. This is a show where we talk about anything and everything that impacts the flow of money from around the corner to around the world. It's a great Friday, getting ready for the weekend, and I just wanted to go and do this quick bit on Money Never Sleeps. It's not going to be a long-winded show. I just want to touch on a few things. I didn't want to get into what's going on Capitol Hill, Reddit, all this other stuff that's going on. The bottom line is with Robinhood, the intentions were to bring more people, more retail, more little smaller investors to the market, younger people. Get them involved in investing, which helps their future. So it's been doing that. What's going to happen now? I don't know. I really don't want to get into that on this show. Okay. I want to talk about crypto, cannabis, and regulation. Regulation as it relates to crypto and cannabis, and I'm gonna make my point on this in a second. You see how with what transpired with the cannabis stocks. They were shooting up. People were talking about them. They were pumping them up and everything else. And the bottom line is they came back down. This is what transpires when you have people just throwing their money into a situation without being educated. You have to be educated. You have to be informed. Financial literacy is important. Okay, my buddy Ryan Harris, former Super Bowl champion, this is what he's all about, financial literacy. You have to be informed. You have to understand what you're doing. This is why you'll see me on Twitter. I'm always I'm always talking about a lot of commentators you have on financial channels because they have a lot of information. They've been there, done that. They're bringing it to the table. This is why I speak about them because they're doing something good for the financial community. They're doing something good for you, the retail investor, and they're giving you information that you probably didn't have before that can be helpful to you. Okay, so now getting back to it, cannabis stocks went up, Tilray, everything went up, went down, sideways. I don't want to talk about specific stocks, but the reality is that regulation is done state by state. It's not on a federal level, not yet, and it's something that's going to happen at some point in time. When's that time going to come? I can't tell you, but it's going to happen. And what's transpiring now with cannabis, okay, and the reason why it's hard for them to access capital markets, because every state, people may not know this, every state, you just can't go and say, hey, I want to invest in this cannabis deal, and you want to go and do it privately, and you want to go do that. There are regulations that come into play that stipulate that you can't, if you're in a certain state like Colorado and things, you can't take investors from another state into your company. And then there's a whole vetting process and all this stuff. It's daunting for these companies, and once they start figuring out the regulation, they loosen things up, and they keep the integrity, and they keep the security, and they keep everything in place. I think the cannabis industry is going to have his day in the sun. I also think this. Okay, I speak a lot about cryptos. Okay, and the cryptocurrency market because this is the next phase of things. Banks are getting on board with Bitcoin. Bitcoin, I think it hit 55, 56,000 a coin. A few years back, these Bitcoin was not there, but it's there now, and it's getting legitimacy. They treat it as a commodity. They treat it as something of a store of value, and that is important. And the thing is with Bitcoin, look, you take a Bitcoin, you take gold. What can you sell quicker? You take gold. Can you go and sell it digitally from your bed? No, you can't. You have to go somewhere. Maybe a jewelry place somewhere with. Hopefully, they don't rip you off. So you're talking about the freedom to do things at the drop of a dime if you wanted to. Banks, they use digital right now with fiat currency. They're not taking bags of money and delivering it to you, right? They're using digital. So this is different in a way that with because cryptocurrencies, they're built on blockchain technology, and blockchain technology, the distributed ledger. This is probably one of the most securest ways for transactions to occur, whether it be logistics, whether it be financial, whether it be real estate. Things can happen quickly. They were talking about quicker settlements, same day settlements, same minute settlements. I think it's going to happen. I think same day settlements is going to be there before same minute settlements, but it's going to happen. So that 1 day settlement, you're going to need it, because at the end of the day, somebody buys a stock, they may not have the money at that moment. So how are you going to settle the trade unless the brokerage firm is going on the limb and they're lending them money? So that's a whole different conversation. So the cryptocurrency market is starting to gain traction. The ones that have utility, these are the ones that you're going to see grow. The ones that have a purpose, not just issue just for the hell of it. Okay, the ones that have purpose, these are the ones you got to look at if you're looking at it at all. Okay, the utility of it. What is it doing? What is it doing? You have a crypto. What is it for? It's because they have some sort of formula to do something. Okay, but what is it for? What are you doing with it? Okay, if they're not doing anything with it, what's the worth? So there has to be a value, and it has to be as far as utility, what it's used for. What it's used for. Okay, now this is, you see in front of me, cannabis regulation. I talked about it all. Now I want to talk about how crypto and cannabis are going to come together at some point. You're going to have, once they have federal regulation that comes into play, and they start loosening things up for these cannabis companies, I'm telling you, you're going to see cryptocurrency come into play, because you have these cannabis companies, they cannot move money quick enough. It's hard for them now because they get money in. How are they going to the bank? They get shunned by banks because banks are regulated by the federal government. So how do you go and have a bank unless you're dealing with a local bank? Or you're dealing with just a bank that's there, that's not anywhere, that's just in that state. Okay, but it's still regulated by the federal government, so it's hard for them. And this is going to open things up, and cryptocurrency is going to make it better for transactions, more secure for transactions, and there's going to be an immutable record of everything. So it eliminates the fraud almost. It eliminates all the nonsense and everything else. So the government's going to be able to track all this stuff. So all of this becomes very interesting. And again, these are my thoughts for this Friday, that you're going to have some sort of crossover with crypto and cannabis at some point in the near future. And that's going to be interesting. The cannabis companies that are looking at this, that are looking to embrace this, these are the guys you got to look for. They're innovative. They're thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow. And if you're thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow, guess what? You're going to be in a good place. All right. Anyway, that's it for this episode of Money Never Sleeps. I want to thank you for tuning in. I just wanted to get this out for this Friday before the weekend comes. I wish you guys the best, and the ones that are freezing, stay warm. To our friends in Texas and the states that got hit hard, my heart goes out to you. Be safe. It's going to warm up. Now you're going to have a heat wave coming. The 50s and 60s and 70s are going to come, and all the ice is going to go away, but the damage is still going to be there. And hopefully your congressmen, your senators, your governors aren't leaving the state, and they're there to help you. Anyway, you guys enjoy, be safe, and we'll be back with you with Money Never Sleeps next week. Take care.